Okay, in this example, we're going to do the Container FX 2D Follow plugin, which is found within the Container FX folder in the Container Plugins. So this plugin you can use with a spline path that you can create with another primitive. And if you're familiar with the Spline Effects plugin found within the Spline Effects folder, then this Container FX 2D follow is going to follow the same exact parameters. So first thing I know that I need is a 2D ribbon or some sort of spline. So I'm going to drag the 2D ribbon down here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the interactive mode and drag these points around. Make sure your E is active in your center column. So now we have a little path that we can create here, and if you want to come back and increase the resolution of it to smooth out the turns or corners, that's fine too. Now that we have that, I'm going to grab a group and make a subcontainer of this group. Within this subcontainer, I'm going to start dragging objects. So I'm going to put a primitive down here, such as a sphere. You can use anything. I'm going to put a material on it so we can see it a little bit better. I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. Now I want to copy these primitives several times. So I can use this Coco plugin. Coco stands for Container Copy. If you need to know how to use that, you can look at the video. So within the Coco plugin, I'm just going to set number of copies to 9. I'm just going to delete the container name. I'm going to hit execute, and here I have 10 containers laid out. Once I'm done, I can delete that Coco plugin. I don't need to rename these containers. I'm just going to let them as is. I am going to go up and grab a grid arrange because I want to spread these spheres out. Since I have 10 containers, I can do columns and or rows. I'm just going to do 10 rows. So I'm going to increase my number of columns to 10. I'm going to increase my column offset like that. I'm done with the grid arrange. I can get rid of that. I'm going to come up to my container effects, grab my Container FX 2D follow, and I'm going to drag it on this group. Now when I do that, you can see how it rearranges our spheres. I'm going to go into the Container FX 2D plugin, and first thing that you notice is that we have a path position. So as I move my mouse along this path position, you can see how it affects our primitives. So if you needed to keyframe this, what you would need to do is just come down and set a keyframe wherever you want it to start. You know, if we want it to start off screen, we could do that. We'll set a keyframe and then just advance it to the other side of the screen and have it go off like that. If you want, you can increase the speed or decrease the speed however you want it. So we hit play, and you can see that our spheres come in and they follow that path. Now there's a couple other settings in here that we can adjust. So first we have a kerning scale. So this will kind of kern out your spheres or spread them out a little bit more. It's kind of like kerning on a font. We also have a scale, so we can scale these containers. This scale affects all of them, so as you increase this number, it's going to increase all of them. Now individually, if you need to come back and scale it up too, you could use the individual container for that. We also have an align and mirroring here too. With the spheres, we can't tell too much about what that is, so I'm going to replace one of my spheres with a cone, and now you see the cone. If I go back into the Container FX plugin, if we turn our align off, you can see how it affects the cone. So if we had all cones in here, they would all align on the path. We also have a mirroring here, which mirrors the effect or the spline path going the other way. There's also a translation offset, so you can offset these spheres a little bit, and also a rotation. You can't notice on the spheres, but as you can see with the cone there, how it rotates, how it's affecting the spheres are actually rotating. You just can't tell them because they're spheres. Now the last thing that you may need on this is, it's great that it's following this path, but I don't want to see this whole 2D ribbon thing. So to get rid of that, we can click on the 2D ribbon, and up here above the trash can in the center alley here, we have this little button. If you turn that off, it hides the 2D ribbon, but it remains active. So now that we hit play, we can play the scene, and these spheres follow that path still.